Hello everyone, this is Darion GNB here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 2007 anime, Devil May Cry.
The Devil May Cry anime is a 12-episode series released in June of 2007. The series centers around legendary devil hunter Dante as we follow him on his day-to-day life on each of his jobs killing demons, but with a mysterious part working in the background to awaken an ancient evil. This series to me was a pleasant surprise. I hadn't given it a full watch until just a little bit before DMC5 released, and when I watched it, I thought it was fine. Not anything special, but still a decent watch. Something to make note of for this series is that yes, it is canon within the world of the games. It's been confirmed for a while, but I'm bringing it up because 5 went out of its way to make direct acknowledgement of its existence, which is kinda cool. When it comes to supplementary material being canon to stuff like game franchises, I tend to not care all that much. Like the IDW Sonic comics being canon to the games really isn't something I care for and could personally do without, but this anime is a special case for being a limited series and just aiming to be a small side venture in Dante's overarching story throughout the franchise. And for that, I can't help but give it a pass. The structure of the series and its story is episodic, with little pieces of an overarching narrative spread throughout. And by little pieces, I mean have one recurring ominous character that never really does anything until the last 2 episodes. The overall story of the show is alright. If there's something I can commemorate the show for, it's how we get to see more unique aspects of the DMC world. The different kinds of demonic artifacts and demons themselves. The fact that ghosts and spirits exist in this world is also pretty neat. It's nothing major, but this show does add some pretty neat stuff to the DMC mythos. The writing quality between each episode varies, as most of them unfortunately feel pretty uneventful. To briefly go over the contents of each episode, the first revolves around Dante taking on the job of looking after this little orphan girl named Patty Lowell, who is said to inherit a big fortune. She and Dante make their way to the Lowell estate, encounter a few demons who are after Patty for her fortune. And when they make it to the estate, it's then revealed that the Patty that we've been looking after isn't the actual Patty who's inheriting the fortune. This grown-ass woman who shares the same name just framed our Patty so that she could make it to the estate without having to deal with any of the demons. She offers to adopt Patty to make up for her literally putting a child in danger, but she chooses to stay at her orphanage and mostly at the DMC shop with Dante. The following episodes become more simple, with Dante helping Lady deal with this biker demon, helping this rich father deal with this demon his daughter is dating, Dante and Lady entering a deadly game of poker, Dante facing the 2 apprentices of Sparta, him going up against a siren type thing. You get it. Before really kicking things into gear with the last 2 to 3 episodes, where one of the minor demons Dante encountered in the first episode, Sid, had been revealed to have been gathering artifacts of the various demons Dante defeated throughout the show, in order to awaken the power of an almighty demon named Abigail. The writing quality of the episodes and overall story is in general pretty hit or miss. Some episodes are fun and captivating in witnessing the different scenarios Dante is placed in, as well as seeing the different kind of demons he encounters, but the way the show executes this episodic formula leaves a bit more to be desired. A portion of the episodes really don't leave much of an impact on me story-wise, and really just feel like they're going in one ear and out the other, so to speak, with not enough work being done when it comes to its core characters. There are a bunch of times throughout the show where Dante is paired up with a few folks who are having problems, and on top of literally fighting their demons for them, Dante also helps them get closure for their respective situations. Whether it be helping this ghost free her falsely accused brother, helping this girl and a demon find love, or revisiting this old town Dante grew up in as a kid, or this woman who sold her soul to become a better singer. I'd say the anime does small stuff like this pretty well. Like, it's easy to get invested in these things, at least enough to where you want to see how it's resolved by the end of the episode, but it doesn't do it that well all the time, with stuff like Sparta's apprentices rarely having me look back at them all that fondly, or this dude who becomes suspicious of Dante and follows him around on his day-to-day life, and seeing just how sketchy all this demon hunting shit looks really just didn't do anything for me. And like I said, the writing between episodes is pretty hit or miss, with the best ones being decent, and the worst ones just being pretty boring. Something that could have certainly helped this is the show's animation. Now, in terms of art style and art direction, the show looks pretty damn good. It has outstanding visuals and lighting, the characters rarely ever feel like they're off model, and the cinematography and camera angles just look really solid. Whether it be the action or the smaller dialogue scenes between characters, when it comes to the actual action scenes, that's when things get a little messy. Devil May Cry as a franchise is all about the crazy, bombastic, and stylish action. So when you give me an anime adaptation, I at the very least would expect the action to be as fun and engaging as it is in the games. And unfortunately, the animation and action scenes are about as hit or miss as the show's writing. So many scenes that involve Dante going up against a demon have the same general problem of either cutting away too quickly, not actually having any fun choreography, or just generally lasting a few measly seconds. So many action scenes are also super obscured by dark lighting and such, which makes it a little hard to see what exactly is happening in a lot of these fights.
And another problem with this show's action that I don't see many people talk about is the fact that Dante rarely ever gets fucked. Okay, what I mean is he rarely ever gets fucked up. Part of the charm when watching DMC's cutscenes, and hell, even bits of the gameplay, honestly, is just witnessing how much of a glutton for punishment the characters, specifically Dante, is. I think they made Dante a bit too powerful in this show, and some of the action scenes really suffer because of it. Because a lot of these boil down to slice and shoot a bunch of times, with Dante showing very minimal effort.
I feel like a good way for them to have circumvent this would have been to just have Dante get sliced, slammed, and jabbed a couple more times while fighting. Like, of course he can be all powerful and shit, but you can at least make it look like Dante has to actually try. Like, have him put a little bit more effort into a few of these fights. Hell, in that episode I mentioned earlier that had the guy following him around, Dante encounters a demon in the middle of the street, and says this.
Seems that lately I've had nothing to fight but a bunch of weaklings. I've been wanting to go up against someone that can give me a little more of a workout.
And then he cuts the thing in half in like 15 seconds. Yeah, some fucking workout, pal. And that coincidentally causes another problem for the show's overall plot, not just the action. There never really seems to be any genuine stakes for our characters. Like before the finale, it never really feels like any character is in any mortal danger. They tried to elevate things in the finale by having Dante get crucified and shit, but the show barely allows any time to let that kind of weight sink in, because the next episode he's up and at it and beats the big boss demon in like 2 minutes. And you can't help but wonder how Dante got defeated so easily in the first place. The nigga didn't even have to go devil trigger or anything. Speaking of which, yeah, stuff like that could have been used to spice up the action a bit more as well. Have Dante go into his devil trigger, or hey, give him some cool devil arms to obtain throughout the show. Stuff like that as well could have gone a long way in making the action stand out more, especially when you consider, again, that the action just boils down to Dante shooting and stabbing a bunch before the demons drop dead. Hell, this is the reason episode 4 is most regarded to be the best episode in terms of action, because it's all about Lady and Trish going at it, and because Lady ain't some invincible demon, you see the different lengths and tactics she uses to not straight up die fighting against Trish. On top of some really fun choreography, utilization of weapons, making good use of their surroundings, etc.
Like, come on, this is the same animation studio that gave us titties dodging bullets no less than 2 years after this show dropped. Is it too much to ask that an adaptation of a hack-and-slash gaming franchise has some consistently dynamic and fun action?
Like, dude, this is the first time canonically Dante, Lady, and Trish, 3 of the world's prime devil hunters, are all in one place fighting a demon, and we don't see any of it. Like I said, they like to do that dramatic cutting away bullshit, but they do it so much that at this point, 4 episodes into the series, it's already really getting old. The soundtrack, however, is quite decent. I don't think anything they played here lives up to the tracks from the games, with one exception that I'll get into in just a bit, but the show toys around with a few different styles that all fit pretty well into DMC.
Hey there. You're not actually into lame operas like this now, are you?
But they as well have a few decent rock tracks that do a good job of getting you pumped up for the action, even if said action is pretty mediocre. But the 2 standout tracks for me are the opening titles and the song that features heavily in that Siren Demon episode, Future in Your Hands. The opening title just screams DMC in a way that can't be properly described to me. It has that hard and raw as hell rock that works with the action incredibly well, but even the slow and somber middle section fits really well too. And like I said, Future in Your Hands just goes too damn hard. I don't know how much or if I even can play it at all in this video, but just know it's easily among the top songs in the entire DMC franchise for me. The character writing is on the weak side for me. If you're familiar with the games, it won't be that much of a problem, but judging it on its own, the show doesn't really allow for that much interesting characterization for our main characters, specifically Dante, Lady, and Trish. and that again contributes to the pretty meh writing most of the show has. Dante I'm very fond of in this show. His personality is considerably toned down from the likes of DMC3 and even DMC1 to an extent. This can be explained by a variety of things, but I most subscribe to the notion that Dante from DMC3 to 1 and 2 is just depressed as hell. Spending his life with the goal of finding the demon that killed his family, confronting and forced to kill his estranged brother, twice in fact, and eventually killing the said demon he's been searching for. Dante's at this point in time, post DMC1 and pre DMC2, where he's just kind of aimless in his life, and it's a pretty good reason I feel to have a more subdued version of his wacky woohoo personality. Hell, I think this type of personality is what we should have gotten for DMC2, even though I doubt the whole depression thing was a thought in their mind back then. But if you want a more subdued but still funny, charming, and charismatic Dante, this would have been the way to go. Instead of that bland, sauceless piece of wood we had in that game. Does this depression rhetoric inadvertently make his personality there more justifiable? I guess, but he's still boring as shit, and this would easily be my preferred way to go, if we were to get a DMC2 remake of some sort. We have both Lady and Trish, who are both just as cool. They each, especially Lady, has a really fun rapport with Dante, and the two as well share some really fun chemistry whenever Dante ain't around. The way Lady always hassles Dante about his debt, and the way she and Trish continuously clown on his sloppy lifestyle, and even have the gall to put him in even more debt was really funny. I like how this anime went and gave us a really good and fleshed out dynamic between the three. This little exchange I also really enjoyed.
Why not send Dante a bill when this is all done?
Sure, that is if he's still alive.
It's either they genuinely don't give a shit about the nigga's safety, or they just know and respect Dante's powers so much they doubt he's really dead. Either way, I just found this exchange really funny. Other than those two, a good chunk of the time Dante will be seen with the likes of Patty and Morrison. I think Dante and Patty's dynamic was really cute. She's always bugging and pestering him about his crummy office and mooches off of his pizza and strawberry sundaes when he isn't looking. When I first watched the anime a few years back, I really couldn't stand her, but on this recent rewatch, I was able to warm up to her. And her relationship with Dante, as they have this really cute older brother and little sister dynamic. And it's sweet to have Dante paired up with someone like that, even if their interactions are sparse throughout the season.
You see that, Raphael? My goat isn't a weirdo and knows how to behave around kids.
Sorry, young lady. Maybe in 10 years or so, I'll ask you on a date.
Son of a bitch!
Alongside her, we have J.D. Morrison, who must have got a severe fucking tan between this and DMC5. All jokes aside, I thought he was fine in this show. He was introduced as Dante's agent who gets him these jobs, and I think he was a pretty welcome addition to the overall cast. And I'm glad they made him an official character in DMC5. The other demon characters like Sid are just fine, and that's from a character and design point. The voice acting was pretty damn solid. Despite me growing fond of Patty this time around, I still think her English voice can very easily become a bit grating for me. Hilary Hagg did a decent job, but yeah, she very routinely got on my nerves with the voice a bit. Lady and Trish both sound great. Lucy Christian and Melissa Davis both sound great in their respective roles. It's crazy how with each new installment, Lady and Trish get a new voice actress, and every time they manage to sound just as good, if not greater than their predecessors. Chris Ayers did a good job as the slimy and weaselly Sid. Rob Mungle as well did a decent job with Morrison, and Dante is brought to life by the oh-so-brilliant Ruben Langdon, who, following DMC3, continues to prove himself as the definitive Dante. Even with a more subdued personality, Langdon just does an incredible job at portraying this charismatic and suave devil of a man.
You bastard! And jackpot.
Overall, the original Devil May Cry anime is alright. It's an okay watch for any long-time DMC fan with a smaller scale look at the different aspects and corners of the DMC world, what different entities and demons are kind of at play here, seeing what Dante's day-to-day life is. It has some decent character interactions, as well as some pretty good music, but it kind of drops the ball with the episode-to-episode structure. On its own, the anime doesn't give you that much to latch onto when it comes to the core cast. That and the animation and action leaving so much to be desired, it's not even funny. Add that to the very minimal stakes applied to our characters, meaning it gets a bit harder to become invested in the overall plot. As a whole, I just don't see it leaving that strong of an impression on people. Yeah, the OG DMC anime is just decent.
So, if you agree or disagree with anything I've said in this video, let me know right down there in the comments below. Also, be sure to like and subscribe. This has been Darion GNB here, and take care.